Can you believe that there are some people in this world that did not tune in to the Alliance Vlog podcast? Shame on you! Shame on you! My name is Ella Indy, and I'm one half of the NWA Women's World Tag Team Champion. And I'm Kimmy Page, the other half of the NWA World Women's Tag Team Champion. And you better go listen to the Alliance Vlog, what is it called again? Podcast, period. Or you're ugly. You're empowered, approved. Alright.
Hey guys, check this out. I am officially now sponsored by Dubby. Dubby is a clean energy drink made to give you focus with no crash. If you guys are like me, you're always needing a burst of energy, especially with one with no crash. Dubby contains vitamins, amino acids, a nootropic, and 150 milligrams of caffeine. It keeps me awake with no jitters, guys. Check it out. Merch link is in the bio. Dubby. Up, everybody. Welcome to the pre-party, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. My name is Jay Count. Each and every Tuesday, we're here at the pre-party to get you set up for the NWA POWERRR. What is good, guys? I've been globetrotting. Not really. I mean, just really going down up and down the 15 freeway. Last Saturday, a week and a few days ago, I was in Mexico, in Tijuana, to check out some Lucha Libre. I think we talked about it on this show. I was checking out some of the stars from CMLL. And of course, the big name on that card was Místico, who for a short time wrestled in the WWE as Sin Cara. He was the one that botched a lot of the moves. Then I went to Monday Night Raw last week. I got to see the big talked about luchador Dragon Lee take on Dominic Mysterio for that North American Championship. And then on Saturday, I went back to Mexico, back to Tijuana, same venue, to see the stars of AAA that included Dralistico, who used to be the other Sin Cara and is the brother of Dragon Lee. So I thought that was pretty cool. I wasn't feeling so great on Thursday, but I rebounded, I rebooted, I got my butt to the wrestling show in Mexico City, Lucha Libre. It was a sold-out crowd. It was huge. I stood in line for about an hour in the rain. That's crazy. What business do I have in the rain? I'm melted. I'm like sugar, man. I melted right there in the street. But it was cool because on that card also was actually Willie Bowen. I kept thinking about you because a lot of the names that you always bring up were there. Vipress was on this show. Vipress was there. Also, Laredo Kid was there. Made me think of you as well. And then also on that card, we had Danny Rivera, a.k.a. Danny Limelight and Slice Boogie. You know them in the United Wrestling Network as the 5150. As the Bodega from MLW, they call them the 5150. It was pretty bonkers, man, to see those guys and that show. Was the Mexican show where Bamboo debuted for CMLL? Great guy. No, with the CMLL show where Bamboo debuted, I was not at that one. Oh, wait. Bamboo was at the Promociones de Lucha Libre, and that was last Saturday. Yes, I did see him there. You know who else I really like besides Bamboo is El Rey. The whole time I'm watching El Rey on Saturday, I'm thinking this would be a guy who would be perfect for like the United Wrestling Network with Dave Marquez. I think it would make a lot of sense for their upcoming productions and stuff. I see, hey, that guy Shrek made it. Hey, what's up? That guy Shrek. That guy Shrek was on our TikTok and joined us over here. So welcome. I'm glad you're here, man. And also, I saw that the Wrestling God is here too. So I'm going to say what's up to all my people in the house. I started rambling. I didn't even say hi to Steve G or Mike or of course, Willie Bowen and our pal Adden. And let's see who's here. Mandy's here. And Steve G is here. Dave Scooby's my guy. And again, Willie Bowen, like I said, I saw so many of your favorites. I was like, this would be perfect for Willie Bowen. This would be the show. If there wasn't any lucha show for Willie Bowen to go to, that would have been the one. It was just a lot of cool talent. You couldn't go to your first indie show since it rained the day before. It's funny. So I live in California, and if there is bad weather, people won't go. And it's so weird because I hear in other places, other parts of the world, other parts of the country that if it rains, it's no big deal. In fact, it usually drives more people to the shows. But in California, if it rains, they're not going to the wrestling show. I don't know. It's the weirdest thing. And John's here. What's up, John? And Lamb. What's up, Lamb? Yeah. Paladin says, hey, Jay, New Japan, MLW, and CMLL have formed what they have called a strategic alliance to share talent. What do you think the NWA was left out of this new NWA? Well, see, the bottom line is it's not an NWA. It's like this is kind of what New Japan does, man. And honestly, it just sounds like to me that they're replacing Ring of Honor with MLW, which is not a bad trade, to be quite honest with you. And in all honesty, CMLL and AAA don't have a very good relationship, and I hear it's more from CMLL than the AAA. And so, if you have any kind of working relationship with AAA, you're going to get pushed away from CMLL. And the problem with that is it pushes you away from New Japan as well. I know, but that's how the dynamic goes. For some reason, CMLL has a lot of pull with New Japan, and they just don't allow any kind of relationship with AAA. In fact, so much so that it's my understanding that there are the same promotion that does Promociones de Lucha Libre is also the same company that does the Crash. And the Crash has such an association with AAA that they will not do business with the CMLL will not do business with the Crash. So they literally open up an entirely new company just to have a relationship with CMLL. It's the craziest thing I've ever heard of, but that's how it works. So to me, I don't think that's not a slight to the NWA. It's just further proves that relationship between AAA and the NWA is kind of fostering and growing. That, why would they go to the NWA? NWA works with AAA. MLW actually probably has more eyeballs on it than the NWA because it has been on it's on a lot of international television stations, as well as it's had a few TV stations here in the US. Now it's back to YouTube, kind of like the NWA. But Steve G says, I Vipress in the women's tournament. You want Vipress in the women's tournament? Oh, you hope. Okay. Our boy Tim's in the house. What's up, Tim? Paladin says, I think Corgan is too hard to work with. I mean, again, I'm not saying that you're wrong, but I'm saying that there is a relationship with AAA already. And to be quite honest with you, I think that's a better relationship to foster. Besides the obvious candidates, look, Commander and El Hijo de Vikingo, and who else has been showing up lately? Probably somebody like Jalistico. Of course, these guys are going to appear in AEW. These are some of their top names, and I don't think that they're going to have opportunities to work with the NWA. But there's other guys in that company who there's great opportunities for. And let's not forget too, La Rebellion is working for AAA, pretty like it's AAA in the NWA. I mean, they're working that relationship right there. So I don't think you want to mess that up, and that could be a gateway. Again, I still feel like the NWA should stand on its own, right? But like at events with like the Crockett Cup, or look, we're in October. There's 2 more months left of this year. We're going to start looking about what's happening in 2024. There could be some sort of fostering relationship with AAA. They might be back in Mexico City next year. That to me is better than having a strategic alliance with New Japan and CMLL, especially because New Japan works with everybody. New Japan has a relationship with Impact. New Japan has a relationship with AEW. New Japan has a relationship now with MLW, CMLL. It's like, where's the exclusivity? I don't know, man. In Germany, we would say, we aren't sure. Let's go for a walk. There it is. Mike, what's going on, brother? I personally think New Japan is better than AEW. You know what? I don't disagree with that. A lot of people do. Willie Bone wants to see Colby Corino versus Laredo Kid. It's actually funny because MLW always showed matches from the Crash and has Conan on the shows. So this is a new relationship with CMLL, and it's kind of awkward. Yeah, it's such a left curve, but that, I guess that just shows you how much that dynamic is now finished, right? Like Conan and MLW, they will not be working together if they're working exclusively with New Japan and the CMLL. The other weird part of that too is, and something that I think we should all look at as well, not only does New Japan work with Impact and AEW, like I said, but there is a New Japan of USA. There is New Japan Strong. There's a promotion in the United States that is already now more or less competing for eyeballs with MLW, and they run some of the similar venues. They've run it. I think they've ran in the 2300, right? And I don't know. It just okay. I'm not sure what it does. Willie says All Japan Pro Wrestling is my favorite pro wrestling company in Japan. I've heard that there's some sort of fostering relationship between Pro Wrestling Noah and the WWE. So I mean, maybe All Japan is the only one that's left for the NWA. Let's see. That guy Shrek. One thing that I'm going to say, and I was talking about this earlier on the TikTok, is the whole tribalism with wrestling is so bizarre to me. Like, I'm a kid. I'm not a kid. I grew up in the 90s, right? The prime time for my wrestling enjoyment was during the Monday Night Wars, the height of the Attitude Era, where you had the WWF and WCW not only going head to head on Monday nights, but also fighting for the same competition, for the same talent, for the same athletes. And so when I remember watching Lex Luger show up on WCW after his tenure with the WWF came to a close, I don't remember anyone being upset. I don't remember anyone going, "Oh, what a traitor." When he went to WWF, nobody said what a traitor. And when Hall and Nash jumped to WCW, I don't recall anybody saying, "Well, the WWF made their careers. Look at these guys. Look at them being traitors." It's just so weird to me. Like, that was one of the coolest things, is turning on Raw or Nitro and seeing who's going to jump ship next. And like, hey, wait a minute, that's Chris Jericho on Raw? Wait, are you kidding me? Sean Waltman showed up back on Raw? Like, that was one of the coolest things about that time. Or when, a free agent popped up from ECW, like Raven or Sandman. Sandman was kind of sucked. But, not Kronos, Saturn, or just stuff like that was so much fun to me. And it's like, if that's what we're going to get with this whole AEW WWE relationship, hey, Jade Cargill's contract is up. WWE is going to make her an offer. Adam Copeland's contract is up. AEW is going to make him an offer. Cool, man. I'm here for it. I'm ready. I think it'll be fun. Willie does not care for the WWE. Lamb says, speaking of La Rebellion, Mecha Wolf will face Alexander Hammerstone soon here in SoCal. That Steve G, that's going to happen in the promotion out there in Palmdale. You should check that one out. Conan says it's over and over and keeping it 100 that it's all about doing business. And he says it's the old school way where scratching backs is part of the win-win deal. I agree, man. I also know that Conan isn't necessarily the easiest person to work with either. JP is in the house. What is up, Jeremiah Plunkett? What I would like to do one of these days, and I, with your con permisión, amigos, is I want to have Jeremiah Plunkett come on and do the pre-party with me. What do you say, fellas? You think that would be fun? I'm just throwing it out there. Don't forget, yes, please, don't forget to like, share with your friends, and subscribe button if you will, if you're so inclined. I'm not asking you for any dollar donations, but your eyeballs are appreciated. Your thumbs up, your subscriptions, your likes, your follows, all that is very helpful in helping this channel grow. And we're here, this is a community. We're here to create and foster relationships with the fans, like-minded fans. There aren't a ton of NWA fans out there. We're trying to change that. There is a solid wrestling promotion that gives you an hour of content each and every Tuesday for free, no pay window. Now, if you want to watch the pay-per-views, well, you're going to have to pay for that. If you want to go to the live events, you got to pay for that. But they're giving you a program completely free on YouTube. You don't have to have a cable subscription. You don't have to, you don't even have to subscribe to their channel, although they would appreciate it if you did. But, we're here to just talk wrestling. And, it's a fun place to chat. There's no dichotomy here. There's no hierarchy. I have a microphone. That's the only difference. I try to get to as many of your guys' comments as we can. Like, look, I had some topics I was going to talk about today, but we have so much stuff that we're talking about in the chat. We'll just keep going with that. Shrek says, for me, it's how good the product is and how I enjoy it. Exactly. And that's completely okay, man. My hierarchy starts with the NWA, honestly. And my second, very, very close second is United Wrestling Network. And sometimes UWN is higher to me than the NWA, but with the sabbatical that it's been in right now, I've been enjoying what I'm seeing out of the NWA. And lately, I've been going to a lot of Lucha Libre shows, and I'm really enjoying the heck out of that. I've always loved Lucha Libre, and the fact that I can drive 2.5 hours and see Lucha Libre in an arena, I feel like that's where it's supposed to be seen. In Mexico, in Tijuana, in Mexico, the fans are really into it. It's a fun environment. If you've never gotten a chance to do it, and you somehow get an opportunity to, I highly recommend it. My remote, same, James. And see, the cool thing about living on the West Coast is with DirecTV, we had a West Coast feed and an East Coast feed. So I had a West Coast feed for Raw for USA. So all my channels, everything was the same for me as it would be for anybody else. But my TNT feed was an East Coast feed, so I had everything 3 hours earlier, so I could watch most of Nitro and then turn over to Raw and only kind of have to go back and forth for that 1 hour. Yeah, Edge in AEW, it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Like, I'm not sure what we're gonna get. I never saw Edge wrestle. Now, because you don't watch WWE. That's funny. I didn't even think about that. But Jay, we're not allowed to enjoy multiple promotions of wrestling. See, I am here to break that stereotype, man. Yeah, Dodie, that's what I was going to talk about. Can I spend a few minutes talking about that real quick? I mean, look, Dodie is the guy that's been saying this for a long time, so I do want to acknowledge that. But like, there's some truth to this, where there's been like a 5-year window for NWA ownership, and I don't know if it's a curse or a bug or what, but like. So prior to Billy Corgan purchasing the NWA, you had Bruce Tharp. And Bruce Tharp owned the NWA from 2012 to 2017. In fact, he sold in May of 2017. The ownership really didn't change hands until October. And in that short period of time, you had Bruce Tharp went from having a group of owners with him, Fred Rubenstein and Chris Ronquillo, down to just Bruce Tharp. In those last few years, they had a robust list of promotions. More of the wrestling was focused in Texas and in Tennessee, with a varying of promotions from Branded Outlaw Wrestling, NWA Southwest, NWA Tacoma, excuse me, not Southwest, NWA Tacoma, NWA Houston. You had NWA Saw, you had NWA Smoky Mountain, you had NWA Main Event, and these were all the promotions that were kind of holding that NWA name down for a very long time. And during that time, you had 6 NWA World Champions, which is kind of remarkable if you think about it. And 2 of the biggest events of that time were the Parade of Champions that they did in the NWA Texas promotions, and of course the Invasion, which brought in. Oddly enough, we have Jeremiah Plunk in the chat, but that's what brought Satoshi Kojima to the United States to defend the 10 pounds of gold. And what we had was, you had Cahagas win the title after the 7 Levels of Hate series wrapped up. New ownership took over. Cahagas became the first world's champion in Clayton, New Jersey, with Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators. That title reign lasted shortly until Rob Conway, who filled in for Jax Dane, took the opportunity that was presented, won the World Heavyweight title, and not only won the title, but took that title to Japan, took it to New Japan Pro Wrestling. In fact, defended that title against Satoshi Kojima at Wrestle Kingdom, lost it. But Kojima wins the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship, and although the title isn't defended as frequently as it would have been in the United States, it still became a part of New Japan Pro Wrestling, was defended on a handful of shows before Rob Conway won it back in Japan. Held the title for a little bit longer before Hiroshi Tenzin became NWA World's Heavyweight Champion. Now, that's not to say that that was the only title traveling to New Japan. Also, the tag team titles were defended in New Japan. Also, the World Junior Heavyweight Championship was defended in New Japan. It was a very good time for the NWA, to be quite honest. There were more eyeballs on the NWA at that moment than there are right now. The World Heavyweight Champion was a part of Wrestle Kingdom. The tag team titles were on guys like Hiroshi Tenzin and Kojima. The tag titles were on guys like Harry Smith and Lance Lance. What is it? Geez, I lost his last name. Lance Archer, the Murder Hawk. So, like the World Junior Heavyweight Champion, it was Chase Owens, or it was not the Great Muta, on Jushin Thunder Liger. Around the same time, too, that Junior Heavyweight Championship was on Ricky Morton, Jason Kincaid. It was on a handful of talents going back and forth between New Japan and the NWA. But going back, then Jax Dane wins the title. During this time is when Jax Dane actually unified briefly the national title and the North American title and became a singular champion before being injured, and then coming back, winning the world title from Hiroshi Tenzin, and then holding that title for some time before losing it to Tim Storm. It was a really interesting time for the NWA with a lot of highs and a lot of lows. Like I said, one of the coolest parts was Hiroshi Tenzin defending the title in the U.S., having Kojima come to the U.S. defend the title, obviously having Rob Conway defend the title at Wrestle Kingdom, which, Wrestle Kingdom is technically New Japan's like WrestleMania. So it was a big freaking moment. So there was, a lot of highs for the NWA, but some of the lows, look, at some point the membership started to lose some steam. Some lesser known members were allowed to get entry into the NWA. The product diminished over time. You had some stronger promotions like NWA Saw kind of get watered down a bit with some of these other promotions that just didn't really belong in the NWA. And towards the end, you had Tim Storm, who was a great champion. But you had Conway defending the title in New Japan, and Hiroshi Tenzin and Satoshi Kojima, and unfortunately Tim Storm's opportunity to defend the title in Japan was at a much smaller independent level of promotion. It was losing steam, and a lot of people kind of understood that. It sucked because it was again, highs and lows. And you know, we even had Bruce Tharp on this podcast basically a week or so after the ink dried, and we talked about how what he was going to do for the NWA, and he did hit a lot of those measurables. You know, he had a lot of milestones in mind that he hit. He did connect it. He wanted Jushin Liger as a champion in the NWA. They achieved that. You know, they wanted the title defended in New Japan Pro Wrestling. They also did that. A lot of things they didn't hit. You know, the whole network that never really took off the ground. There was a lot of things that they were promising that never came to fruition. But for, you know, to be quite honest, for that 5 years, there was a lot of positive. Now, let me go back another 5 years, because 5 years before that, that was, you know, we kind of call that the post TNA years, the David Marquez years. A lot of the same faces were still involved with the NWA as there were in the Bruce Tharp era. But this was like almost immediately after Impact ended its 5-year relationship with the NWA, or NWA ended it with Impact, however you want to look at it. And you had guys like Dave Marquez running. We still had the NWA Saul. You had Smoky Mountain. You had Mountain State. You had NWA Liberty States. You had NWA Pro Wrestling East. You had NWA. There were so many strong promotions, and more than a handful of them had television. Of course, NWA Out Here Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, there were several efforts to have regular programming for the NWA, including the NWA in Colors, and of course that was the NWA Wrestling Showcase, where they had all of the champions on television. There were no like signature events at that time that were all inclusive, but the NWA also at that time with David Marquez were running in smaller arenas all across the Southwest. It was a very interesting time as an NWA fan for me. Again, we talk about highs and lows too. I mean, they ended up losing the NWA because of a lawsuit to Bruce Tharp. Their whole fiasco with the Sheik was a black eye for the NWA. A lot of things kind of hurt their forward momentum. And then, of course, there was the 5-year period that Impact TNA had the licensing agreement with the NWA, and that was up until about 2000. It's just this weird thing. And going back to what Dodie says, like, you know, 6-year anniversary of Lightning One, Billy Corgan now having controlled the NWA for the past 6 years. And in that time, we've had Tim Storm, Nick Aldis, Cody Rhodes, Trevor Murdoch, Matt Cardona, Tyrus, and EC3 as our world's heavyweight champions. They took that big step by doing the annual pay-per-views. They started off with the 70th anniversary pay-per-view, and then the following year in 2019 they did the Crockett, or 2018 they did the Crockett Cup. 2019 they kicked off with the NWA pop-up event that happened in Tennessee at the first of the year, and then ended up doing the TV tapings in October or September, late September, early October. It was about 4 years ago around this time they started taping in Atlanta. Of course, they started doing pay-per-views out of Atlanta. Pandemic slowed everything down, but in that time, I mean, they also rebuilt, they regrew, they changed some leadership in the front office, but we have some new faces with the NWA, and we get you know, the pay-per-views take off, man. And now, you know, we just celebrated the 75th anniversary show. We are running up to Samhain. They're back on YouTube with their weekly television offerings with Power. They ran more this year with international tours and even in the US. I mean, the NWA as a whole has done so much more live events this year than they ever have before under the Lightning One era. And it looks like that's going to continue to happen. And now they're doing co-promoting events with promotions in Florida, promotions in Tennessee, promotions, it looks like maybe in Ohio. It just seems like this ball is rolling, guys. And there's a lot of things to be positive about. Of course, you can look at the NWA. You can see some of the glaring problems that the NWA has stumbled across in the last 4 or 5 years. Obviously, there wasn't a lot of people happy with Tyrus as world's heavyweight champion. There is some inconsistency with booking. There is some inconsistency with some of the talent. But, I mean, the bright light here is that they're moving on a path, and it seems like each and every year that Billy Corgan has owned the NWA, they have been more aggressive about running live events. They've been putting on more pay-per-views. They've added more talent under contract. They've grown their roster. I really feel like this is a great time to be a fan of the NWA. If I haven't sold you on it yet, tune into Power tonight and see what you think about it. Now, I'm going to read some more of your comments because I just went like 20 minutes without even reading a comment. Paladin says, I hate WWE as much as anybody else. I popped like crazy when Edge went to AEW. Let's see. Thanks for the sub, man. I appreciate that. JP, I'm going to talk to you offline. Not today, tomorrow. After the show, I'm going to Alice in Chains. I'm going to a concert. I'm not even going to get to watch Power tonight. I have to watch it tomorrow. I wish I could get my local indie promotion, a New Japan, but it won't happen. It's kind of hard to do a New Japan in a local indie. I mean, that's a hard get. That's a hard get. Yes, we all want Plunkett for that TV title. Oh man, I want Plunkett versus the winner of the TV title. That's my jam. Polka Dot Pam's in the house. What's up, Pam? The most interactive live chat podcast. I'm trying, man. I do try. Thanks, Lamb. I appreciate you, brother. You haven't been able to go to an indie show since January. You got to change that, man. It has been 6 years. Tony says, I heard former WCW jobber Damien Stryker. That's right, man. He's made it. Do we cancel out COVID years on the curse? You got to say this, man. During COVID, right? During COVID, they did run one pay-per-view, right? They did do their pay-per-view in early January. They did get some title defenses. Thankfully, because Thunder Rosa was working her ass off, but also because of Primetime Live, Dave Marquez, that relationship fostered a few title defenses. So the NWA wasn't inactive in 2020. They actually had a few title defenses. And even in 2021, when they came back. It took a little bit to get going, but they got back to doing live events. They got back to doing pay-per-views. So even though there was some downtime, honestly, if we're being realistic, it was still pretty busier than most years under the Tharp era. And I'm not trying to take shit on anyone. I think main event dropped at the beginning of the Tharp era. Yeah, I mean, a lot. Like, look, there was a huge, cut of promotions. Like Jim Miller, he was gone. He didn't stay on. Obviously Marquez was out. ECCW in the Pacific Northwest was out immediately. Howard Brody was supposed to be there with the Ring Wars, but he didn't last. Obviously, Fred Rubenstein's group up in New Jersey, they were out quickly, and it very much became like that Texas, Tennessee kind of circuit, which, honestly wasn't horrible. It just sucked for fans like here in California. We didn't get to see those titles travel. Now, we had a California-based NWA promotion, but they weren't bringing in any of the champions. I did not watch Wrestling Dream, but I did. It looked really good. Paladin. It's something I probably will try to find later down the road. Cersei ran Top Rope. That's right. We could talk old school all night. Yeah, man. I love old school wrestling. Let's see. Dodie says 2 different main event. One is Mike Porter. The other is Mark Vaughn. Mark Vaughn's main event was actually pretty decent. I actually like those guys. That's true. Hoyt, you guys are getting me. Did you watch the new Japanese Joshi Promotions Sukaban? No, I didn't. I've heard a lot about it. But no, I didn't see it. My good friend James was checking that out. He's telling me about it. Yeah, right. I'm all out. I drank my W before the show. I'm out of focus. You guys should say something. Oh man. Mike, no pay Porter. JP, man. I love it. James says, I watch a ton of stuff loyal to what I like. Watch NWA, UWN. I have Stardom subscription. I watch some OVW, JCP. But the 2 I watch every episode of is NWA, UWN. The rest I just watch here and there. Lamb, you're the best. Lamb is on it tonight. Lamb needs a raise. New Japan referenced WrestleMania when a commentator saying Road to Mania, then correct himself after the G1. That's funny. Vince does own all of wrestling, but Vince used to own all of wrestling. Now Endeavor owns all of wrestling. Yeah, I was on a few episodes of those 10 Pounds of Gold. I had a good relationship with Dave Lagana. I still like Dave Lagana. I think he got a bad rap, and I can't really comment on, the legalities of the accusations. I mean, I don't ever like to victim blame, but there were some inaccuracies. There's some things that didn't sound right, and I'm not going to say anything more about it. Get canceled over here. I did also appear in the NWA documentary. NWA will be a huge topic this week on UWN Championship Wrestling episode. Oh, are they doing some more NWA flashbacks? I haven't kept up with UWN since they went on sabbatical. I was at one of the last TV tapings in Irvine, and I think that might be the last. Yeah, Willie. About 5 years after they started the relationship, and then 5 years later, Bruce Tharp would end up in possession of the NWA. It's kind of like this weird, like every 5-year thing, and it's something that Doty's pointed out quite regularly over the years. But yeah, it's pretty good. I think it's great that the NWA name is still being established by Corgan. It's gonna take time, right? It's just gonna take time for the NWA to process and kind of develop these new relationships. We were talking earlier about the relationship that New Japan formed with CMLL and MLW, but this relationship that the NWA has with AAA right now, and then the relationships they have with Joe Kazano Promotions, Boca Raton Championship Wrestling. I feel like there's a lot of positive happening for the NWA, and I think it's going to happen, man. That's true. That's true. Yeah, Pam, I'm looking forward to House of Blues, Alice in Chains. That's one of my favorite bands. I'm a huge grunge fan from the 90s. Stone Temple Pilots, Alice in Chains, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Mother Love Bone, Mad Season. Oh, Mad Season's one of my favorites. I can keep going on that, but I won't bore you guys. I heard that was a great match. I'm glad you asked, Steve, because I have that card right here in front of me. Tonight's show of Power, we're going to hear from Aaron Stevens. And I think he has something to say about the tag team title situation. We also have a number one contenders tag team match with M95 featuring Misa Kate. I'm a big fan of that Misa Kate and Maddie taking on the newly formed team of Natalia Markova and Taylor Rising. Now we remember if you go back when Taylor Rising challenged Max the Impaler for the television championship, it was Natalia Markova that made the post-match save. And it seems like there's been some sort of bond there between the two now. They also faced each other at the 75th anniversary show on night number 2. So it looks like there might be some a bonding there, and maybe a new tag team has been created. Of course, they will get that opportunity later tonight. And then, of course, Colby Corino, who has been a man on fire as World Junior Heavyweight Champion, having already defended that title 7 times. And if you think of it this way, if that title had a Lucky 7 series, he would be in line to challenge for a new championship. Colby Corino, Matt Vine of the Fixers LLC. That should be a very interesting championship match. Matt Vine is a guy who I think it won't be long now before he is wearing some sort of gold in the NWA. I feel like that guy is very primed for something bigger than just being a flunky for the Fixers. Chris Silvio, Esquire of the Savages, takes on the man he used to lead in Jax Dane. And this one is going to be interesting. I'm a huge Jax Dane fan. I don't hide that. I'm a Jax Dane homer. That's going to be a great match because of Jax Dane. And then you've got the Thrillbilly Daddy, the Southern Six. The 2 is silent. Silas Mason taking that national Heavyweight Championship. I believe this is his second defense. He already wrestled once against Jordan Clearwater at the pay-per-view at the 75th anniversary show. Now he'll be taking on Dak Draper on that title. So that's your card for tonight. It looks like it's going to be a fun night. Again, like this is the second show in a row where there have been 2 title matches on the show. What a way to kind of bring power into this new era. I wouldn't get too accustomed to having that many title matches on your weekly Power episodes, but we're starting to get into the thick of it as Samhain is only like 25 days away. It's this month. It's later this month in Ohio, and there's a lot of fun things coming up after that. I mean, they've got TV tapings in November. They've got the other Florida show that's coming up as well. I think there's actually 2 Florida shows now. Just a lot of fun stuff coming up. Brian said later at the scrum that he never had a match like that in his entire career. I believe you're talking about Danielson and Sabre. Yeah, I didn't see it, so I'm not too sure of it. Let's see. Super solid card. It looks like Colby Kerno defending and Aaron talking. Yeah, it's going to be a fun show, man. It's going to be, I think tonight's Power is going to be top notch. I can't wait to watch it. I mean, technically I've already seen it because I was at the tapings, but I do like watching it a second time to see what the cameras captured versus what I saw. Thank you, Lam. I appreciate that. Alliance merch comes in many colors. If you have a significant other, a sister need. Yeah, James, putting it out there, brother. Thank you, man. Vine is a junior and I'm not. Vine looks like he is a big dude. He looks big. And if you guys haven't seen JP lately, man, that guy's been putting in the work too. He is super cruiserweight ready for sure. You were talking about NWA collaboration with any promotions in different states. They are also one called Supreme Wrestling. They used to do Supreme Wrestling. That was under the old ownership. They haven't really worked with them now. Now that could change, but as of right now, they haven't really done anything with them. I know Rob Conway used to do a lot of title defenses out there. There was a lot of positive relationship there back in the day. Will Taylor Rising and Natalia Markova become tag teams? They will add more teams in the women's tag team. You give more chances for Natalia for another NWA Gold. Yeah, they actually they're teaming together tonight. We'll see how it goes. You guys get to watch tonight. Of course, Misa, Kate, and Maddie are not to be easily dismissed. I know Natalia Markova is super over with the NWA fans. I know Taylor Rising's getting a huge following, but you can't underestimate Maddie and Misa. Misa's a bad chick. I got to watch her in Illinois wrestle for the WrestleMax St. Louis Women's Championship. Although she did not win the title, she looked great. She's really won me over, Misa Kate. Let's see. I like Taylor Rising for her wrestling. All right, I'll take it. I love that and the new packed focus match format. I do too, man. I think it's a good feel to the show, and it makes it go by quickly. It doesn't feel like a long watch. It's not a challenge to watch the show. It goes by quicker, in my opinion. And then being there from the tapings, like it didn't feel like the show lasted very long, which I think is a good thing. Taylor and Markova is fire. You'll enjoy their match tonight, I think. Plunky for the belt, absolutely. I bet we don't get more title defenses with all these new events. It's hard to tell, man. It's hard to tell. I just know that there was a lot of matches that they filmed, and we're not going to get more TV tapings until November. So I don't know if they have more matches planned after the pay-per-view, or if they're going to do kind of like what they did the last one and have Billy and Joe Galley do some post-match commentary, post-pay-per-view commentary for the next episode of Power. I'm not sure how they're going to play it out. We'll just have to kind of wait and see. Those Disney churros may have done me in. Man, I would have taken you to some Mexican restaurants that are very, very right by Disneyland. For the Big Billy announcement, wow. I don't know, man. in a perfect world, I think it would be this working relationship comes into more play where the Exodus Pro, Joe Kazana Promotions, Boca Raton, that they become more of a territory system for the NWA. But I can't guarantee you what that is. I just, it's too hard to speculate, is it TV? I don't know, man. We just saw the writer's strike end. I don't know if that window's closing or not. Maybe it's a TV deal. Yeah, I mean, it could be. Exodus Pro Show has now got NWA on the advertising and half the roster there, plus hints at a reality show. Well, we heard on his way out, the former NWA U.S. Tag Team Champion mentioned that there was, in fact, a reality show, but there hasn't been much more indicated, speculated, spoken about publicly than that. So we'll just kind of cross our fingers and hope. I hope so. TV would be great. UWN also needs a new TV deal. Steve G, they're going to announce soon what their plans are. I heard that it's winter is going to be when things are going to really start rolling out. I think Corgan is being too picky on a TV deal. He said he has offers. I don't know. I can't. It's just speculation at this point. I don't know who his offers are, and there are such things as bad TV deals. I think the worst thing to do is to get out there and try to get a TV deal just to get a TV deal. I know there's some companies that pay for TV, and it's like how, if you're a multi-million-dollar conglomerate, sure, paying for TV might make sense in the long run, but if you are, legacy brand that's more or less operating as a startup, it's kind of hard to just, okay, we're going to put all of our eggs in this basket. Let's see. 45-minute time of the NWA Weekly TV is good for his mid-50s dudes, those 3-hour weekly. Yeah, man, that's a stretch watching this show for 3 hours. I went to the Raw tapings. Like I said, I went to a live Raw, I guess a week ago, and it was fun, but by the third hour, I'm like, is this shit over? It's a fun show, but come on, I'm ready for bed, man. Let's go. 2 hours is a sweet spot for Paladin. For all good and bad of NWA Power, what I like from Power is the sense of simplicity. I found nowhere else I can say 1, 2, or more better show. None of them feel as relaxing as watching Power. Yes. And I think they did that on purpose. I want to think that was done intentionally, but I'm not sure. I'd like to think so. And the promotion that EC3 canceled on mentioned similar. That turned out to be a little bit of a misinformation. There's no deal with Netflix and the NWA as far as I've been told. Billy's big announcement isn't a TV deal. No new talent picks ups. Madame Zuzu is launching a pumpkin spice tea. Could you hear the disappointment in everybody who read that? I could. Some say TK pays for Rampage to be on TV. Whatever works. Look, again, TK could sell a lot of tickets being on TV. TK is running live events weekly, right? Where the NWA runs live events every quarter. It doesn't make sense for the same that same kind of dynamic. And how much is he paying for TV? How much is he making in commercial money? Again, AEW's in a short amount of time has become a well-established wrestling brand. Is it bigger than the WWE? Absolutely not. No way. Not even close. But is it bigger than the NWA? Oh, hell yeah. They're making lots of money over there. And I'm not saying that they're making enough money to even cover the cost of what they're spending, but I'm saying that there's the risk reward is greater for them than it would be for the NWA. It just, at this point, that's just how it is. Somehow, I'm afraid these feel of simplicity will fade away if Billy gets a huge TV deal. Yeah, I could see that being something that happens too, Dodie. I could see that being a very much, like you said, a two-edged sword there, double-edged sword. I can only do 3 hours if it's a pay-per-view. Same. The last time I saw EC3 was on a random Ohio Valley show. Yeah, he's actually kind of a regular for Ohio Valley. And yes, TK is feeding off of his pops' money. But I think at the end of the day, what we have to look at this is that we ate at one in an outdoor mall by our hotel, and it was delicious and strong margaritas. JP, if you ever come back out here, ever happens again, which it might not, but if it ever does, tell the missus just one night you're gonna go hang out with your boy Jay. We're gonna go get some Mexican food. You can bring her. I don't care. You can bring her, and we'll go get some margaritas and some nachos and some chips and salsa and some guacamole. TK has said AEW has not made any profit. I doubt it will for a very long time. Which is, look, you know what? It's better for him. Look, let me give you a little secret, because I am a business owner, guys. Business 101. The first 5 years of a business, nobody's expected to make a profit. In fact, if you show a profit in your first 5 years, you're making a mistake, because no one's going to question that. And as a business owner, you shouldn't be showing a profit in your first 5 years. Trust me, I made that mistake. It's a secret. But yeah, so like Tony could lose his ass for 5 years and it's all called a write-off and it's no big deal. And you don't pay taxes on money that you lose. And that's good for 5 years. Boo the Rangers. So yeah, it's like, look, it's good for him if he's losing money, because he's setting up relationships, he's setting up opportunity to be leveraged so that when he needs to start making money, before he can't, like, because you could write off all those losses for the first 5 years, and then at some point you can't write them off anymore, and then at that point you take losses for the business. At that point, then you really have to start standing up and being leveraged to be successful. Same thing with Billy Corgan. You know, his 5 years are up. He's in year 6 now. And if you notice, a lot of the things that they've done have been very smart moves, right? Taking the NWA to Mexico City with the Smashing Pumpkins, taking the NWA to Australia with the Smashing Pumpkins, having NWA live events with the Smashing Pumpkins. All these moves, these could be all very profitable moves for the NWA. I'm not looking at balance statements. I don't see profit and loss sheets. You know, the NWA is not a publicly traded company, but I would imagine that those shows in Australia, those shows in Mexico City, those shows in the US that were part of the Smashing Pumpkins tour, guarantee you made money for him. Because he's paying himself. The Pumpkins were paying for that. You think they would do any developmental? I don't know about that, man. Like, it's easier for, like, they have Ring of Honor for developmental, isn't it? I mean, look at it that way. Isn't Ring of Honor basically their developmental? They just throw all this money out there and say, okay, come wrestle on Ring of Honor. You know, there's a lot of great talents, but they don't even have room for all of them. Like, there's so many people under contracts with Tony and AEW. Like, there's no way that all those people could get on TV. Yeah. So, I don't know, man. Yeah, they say Ring of Honor is the new dark. It kind of is. And James H. Jackson has told me this, because he used to watch it. He used to be subscribed to the Ring of Honor network. You'd get like 2 hours of wrestling. It's like, how am I going to go through all of that? Like, when am I supposed to watch all of this? I know a guy who was on Ring of Honor named Brandon Lee. Oh. Was he a big fan of The Crow or Bruce Lee? Hey, guys, we're going to wrap it up here. I know that's a little bit earlier than usual, but I know also I have to get out of here. So I appreciate you guys being here each and every Tuesday. It is honestly the highlight of my week. We love talking wrestling with you guys. Love talking NWA. Shrek, thanks for jumping on the show for the first time. Please feel free to be back here Tuesday at the same time. Also, thanks to everyone else for being in the chat, especially you, Jeremiah Plunkett, brother. I'm going to have you on here sometime. Go pee. It's not pee, man. I got to drive like an hour and a half to get to the concert tonight. Mandy, yeah, thank you, Mandy. Thank you guys for being here. This is honestly, it's so much fun, and this is such a good time for me. I really appreciate you guys being here. Of course, there's merchandise if you guys want to take a look at it. Of course, Dubby is amazing. I endorse that product. If you're interested in buying some, merch link is in the bio. I think you save 20% on all your first orders. But I will say this, Our other Alliance guys will be on tomorrow at 6:30 Eastern, 6:35 Eastern, 3:35 Pacific. Of course, I'll be back on Thursday with Jade and DKM, as long as I don't get sick. And we'll be talking about this week's Power. We're going to talk a little bit more about the NWA over the last few years. And, you know, October has always been kind of like a milestone for the NWA. We'll spend some time talking about that. I did love the STL stop on that tour. That was such a fun weekend. One of my favorites. Oh, yeah, I think you're talking about Alice in Chains. Fair enough. All right, guys. Well, again, thank you so much for being here. Remember, tickets are on sale now for the November 4th TV tapings. Samhain is coming up on October the 28th, featuring this match, and another match to be announced, I'm sure, tonight. And until next time, guys, I'm going to see you at the matches. Thanks for checking out the Pre-Party, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. You should hit that subscribe button and join our community. I also want to remind you that we recap NWA Power every Thursday at 8 p.m. in the live stream. We try to stay social, so find us at the Alliance blog. And until next time, we are the Alliance.